Welcome to episode 421 of the AMPM podcast. In this episode, I'm speaking with Jennifer Young. Jennifer has helped build a company that's going to do about $20 million in sales this year. We talk about how a lot of those sales are coming seasonality and how they balance that. We talk about how being Chinese actually helps her with relationships and with sourcing from Asia. And we talk about the pain points of growing a business that big, plus a whole lot more in this episode. Enjoy this episode with Jennifer.
Welcome to the AMPM podcast. Welcome to the AMPM podcast, where we explore opportunities in e-commerce.
We dream big and we discover what's working right now.
Plus, this is the podcast where money never sleeps, working around the clock in the AM and the PM.
Are you ready for today's episode?
I said, are you ready? Let's do this. Here's your host, Kevin King. Kevin King.
Jennifer Young, how you doing? Welcome to the AMPM podcast. It's good to see you again.
Yeah, I'm good. And hello, Kevin. It's good to see you again, too.
I think I've been seeing you like a lot this fall at like all these different conferences where we see each other at Unbox and I think at DealCon, and you came out to the Market Masters think tank, and I don't know, probably something before that I'm forgetting. It's like I think between me and you and a couple other people were like the conference people. Or it seems like we're at like almost every conference.
Correct. Because usually I'm not that social, but I really like your event because I feel it's very close, and then, and every time we met and we become closer relationship, and I like that. So
for those of you who don't know, Jennifer runs a company with her husband that does what are you guys going to do, like $25 or $30 million this year on Amazon?
Yeah, so 20 million, around 20
about 20
million.
Mm-hmm. On Amazon, mostly private label, right?
Yes, all private label.
And a lot of, I think you guys publicly say there's a lot of stuff in the toy category, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it's like 85% toys and 15% travel accessories. And we're planning to expand to other category as well. So
does that mean like right now, when people are listening to this in November, right now is like when you're doing most of your sales for the year, like these 3 months since it's toys, right? I would think this is like massive season for you guys.
Yeah, so our sales doubled this month compared with like last month because of the Halloween. And then I think the same for November and December, and the Q4 are going to contribute about like 70% of total sales of the whole year based on the previous number. So
if you're doing 70% in the fourth quarter, that's roughly 14 million or so, if I'm just doing the math in my head right, of your 20 million. That takes a massive investment in inventory, and I would think a big risk, because it could be a risk of you over order and get stuck with something, or you under order and like, man, I wish we could sell 3 times this if we didn't mess this up. So how do you balance that from the forecasting? I know you got some cool tools that you use, but how do you balance that then from a financial point of view? That's a large investment in inventory. Is that from cash flow, or do you guys have resources or special terms, or can you walk us through how you manage that? Because a lot of people are always curious about that.
Yeah, sure. So for the first question, as for the cash flow, and we do have like a cash flow issue when we are growing dramatically. I think in 2019, 2020, and 2021, and our sales from like 3 million and next year 60 million, 6 million, 12 million. It's like every year doubled. And then that is the most difficult time for us to think about, we don't have a cash to buy the inventory, right? I think by that time we're using some financial service, which is very like high interest rate, because that is only our option. I think it is helpful because firstly, it's a short time, and also including Amazon Lending, but they are not doing that now, right? But back then, I think Amazon Lending is also a very good financial source for us, because you can pay it back and just after 2 months. So even if the annual rate is very high, but you're thinking about the total cost of the capital, it's really worth to take it.
Have you worked out any special deals with the companies you buy from to give you like 50-50, or let you pay 30% 60 days after it's delivered? Right?
Yeah, that's another way we're doing it is we have a strategic partner that we're working for 7 years, and they are in this industry for a long time as well, and then they understand this industry. They understand for toys, and then we need a lot of cash flow we need like the terms in order to helping us with the cash flow, and then they can negotiate a better term with the factory as well. I think in China, there's an area they're specialized in toys, and they all understand the seasoning, and so they are more likely to partner with their clients to figure that out. Because if they say, hey, if you cannot pay us, you cannot ship the product out, and then they're missing stuff as well. Yeah, usually we have about like a 30 days terms with the supplier, but during the peak time, they are willing to give us like a 60 days.
That helps a lot.
Yeah. So which means like once we start to receive money towards the end of December and January, like we just pay them back. And it's for them, it's just maybe 30 days more, because we have 30 days standard for the regular orders as well.
Now, do you think is that something that you've worked hard to negotiate, or does it help? I know you're Chinese and from China. Does it help that you speak the language and that you're kind of like from that culture? Does that help with the factories trusting you more than they might someone?
Actually not, because most of the factories in China, especially, they're specialized in selling product overseas, and they prefer to deal with foreigners. They're gonna give the foreigners better terms, because they know like they will be a long-term relationship, other than the Chinese people they can shop here around.
On the forecasting side of things, how do you actually do you look at trends? I know you use some tools and different tools out there, and your husband has a tool that's really good that you guys use. But how do you judge? I know you can look at the tools, or maybe do you look at the past year and like see how this toy did last year, or do you look at like, oh, this is going to be the hot new toy for 2024's Christmas? How do you decide what to carry, and then how much to actually order to not screw this up? Because I sell calendars, so I sell seasonal stuff too. So wall calendars are one of my products, and I know that it's a guessing game, because I can, depending on what the cover of the calendar looks like, depends on how much it sells. And so I think, last year I sold 10,000 of this on Amazon, so this year I think my sales are going to go up 20%. So I'm going to order 12,000, but then something happens, or the way the algorithm works, I only sell 8,000. Then I got 4,000 I got to get rid of, or the opposites happen. I think I'm going to sell 12,000, and by the first week of December, I've already sold 11,000. I'm like, wait, I only have 1,000 left for the rest of the year. I could sell so many more. So how do you balance that, or how do you forecast that?
Yeah, that's a good question. Actually, we are not using the data of the last year, because the sales volume has been changed a lot. So what we see is our current BSR. So for example, we have an estimate sales of a BSR, for example, top 1,000, and then we estimate X amount, right? And then 2,000, and we estimate X amount, and all the way to like 10,000 and 20,000. So that is the BSR range that our portfolio adds. And then based on the current BSR ranking of our product, and we estimate and what that BSR sales volume will be for the peak season. So that is methodology that we're using, and we feel like it's very effective.
Well, I know that a lot of times you go to China quite a bit, and you guys go sometimes for like the Canton Fair and stuff, but I know you guys go and you visit your factories, and like you said, with toys especially, isn't there like a city outside of Guangzhou that's like known for toys? And I think you and your husband and some of your team sometimes go over there, and I've heard stories that you just sit down for like 3 days in their showroom, and they're just bringing you all kinds of toys, and you're playing with them and going, oh, this one looks cool, or no, I don't like this one. Can you tell me about that?
Yeah, that is at like an early phase. I think start from 2018, 2019, and then COVID hit, we just doesn't have chance to go there, because that is a faster way to launch a lot of SKUs. That's why like right now we have 900 SKUs, and most of them just SKU, and most of them is just from like the first 2 or 3 years, and we just been there for a whole week, and then we're launching 20, 30 ASINs, and most of them we're doing pretty good, because we have our own system of launch and maintain the product. And then once we see the market is big enough, and we just adding more variants, and then like launch new parents. I think that is the most effective way to expand your business. But I don't think it still works nowadays, because right now everything's become very competitive, and we prefer to working more deeply in one niche instead of going wide. But back to 2018 and 2019 is about like as many as SKU you can launch, and then that is how much money you can make. But the strategy has been changed now, and we need to change accordingly.
So how often, out of those 900, you said a lot of them are from the past. How often are you launching a new product that's totally new, not just a new variation, but like, I don't know, maybe you're selling a little toy car and now you're selling a robot, for example. I mean, how many totally new SKUs to the catalog do you introduce like each month or each year?
Timing it by the season. We have summer and spring season, and we also have Q3 and Q4 season. I think each season we're gonna launch about like maybe 20, like a
Oh,
new,
wow.
20 new parent ASINs. So annually we'll probably gonna have 40 to 50.
And how many of those typically make it? I mean, I know like a lot of people say like an 80% ratio to 20% failure is good. Do you see something similar? Like, so if you launch 20, 1 year later, 15 or 16 of them are still good, and the others like, okay, that didn't work out, and you discontinue them, or what kind of a success ratio do you typically have?
Yeah, for the one that are doing like a really good, and I would say maybe 20% that become our top, products for the next year, and around like 50% that is doing okay, but we decided to continue, doing that product, and I would say maybe 30% is the one that is just doing okay, but we feel it's not worth for us to spend resource on that, and then we just sell out of inventory, but not losing that much money, right? And then, but when discontinued, and then like in the 10 to 20%, and we do lose money because of majority is the quality issue. If the quality is not good, and then you just cannot do anything about it, and then we have to liquidate or destroy it.
So do you have a team of people that are like constantly looking for ideas, or is these coming from your ideas? Or how are you finding new ideas of what to launch? Are they going to visiting the factories, or do you have the factories sending you like, oh, you should look at this, you should look at this, you should look at this?
Yeah, before we just like spending a whole week visit factories, and then they have a whole showroom, and then we were just getting ideas, and also I doing online research and look at our competitors, look at the trending, and send that ideas to our team to do the further investigation. Yeah, that's how we get our idea. But that is before, like nowadays, and we are very familiar about our category. So we just stick to the category that we're familiar with. And for the completely like a new category, I think we're probably going to doing like 1 or 2 per month. So it's not a big workload for us.
So are you selling just on Amazon, or are you on Walmart or TikTok or any other places too?
We're on Walmart. We have a full-time employees that in charge of that platform, and we realize the product is selling well there, might not selling well on Amazon, and vice versa. So it's definitely worth to explore other channels, and it's also helping us to manage our inventory as well, because some of the products are overstocked, and then we can send to other channel. It's definitely helpful. Other channels like TikTok and Temu. We used to do a Temu a little bit, but it's just very, you cannot make money from there, right? Honestly, all you do is trying to using that as a liquidation channel, and then the price they give it to you are very low. So I just feel it's not worth to spend the resource on that for the channel that cannot make you too much money, and then you're not grow that channel strategically. So right now we have Amazon, Walmart, and D2C we tried a little bit, but it's not very successful. The reason why is the category our product is, it's not a repeatable. There's no repeat customer. There's no, it's not a high dollar value. So I think during that time we are running Facebook ads. We get $10 per order, and it's way above the profit that we make from that product. So we decided discontinue it. So for the current category, we're not planning to grow into like D2C or social commerce strategy, but we do feel like if you really want to building a true brand, and that is where we should go. And if we're going to do that, then I will probably going to plan for another category and other products that fit that type of marketing strategy.
So is there certain margins that you look for? Do you have to, like, when you're sourcing products, do you need to make at least a 20% bottom line or 30% bottom line? Or is there some target that you look for? And maybe some products you don't do, they look like they're a good opportunity, but you just can't make the margin on them, and so you pass?
Yeah, absolutely. And before, our standard is 30%. And now we increased that to like 35%. because all the cost has been increased, and we have to increase our margin in order to make profits. But another important thing is like we are not only looking at margin when we do the product development, we're looking at ROI, because at the end of the day it's about how much you invest and how much you make. It matters, because the margin is more like a salespeople or the PPC person look at the margin, but for the product development, and we're using ROI as the main metrics. So we're looking for at least like a 100% ROI of the product that we're planning to launch.
Is most of your team in the U.S. or do you have a lot of team in overseas, or where's most of your team based?
I would say before 2022, and 100% our team are in China. Because I feel it's just like easier that everyone's working in the same office and I can talk to them, and then they can move things very fast. They're working very diligently. And nowadays, I feel it's very important that we have to improve look and feel of how our product our product display in our website. So we hire more Western designers and in our team as well. And we see a huge improvement for our conversion and also our traffic. And then I think that is things we're going to continue doing. We're planning to hire a new category manager in US as well. That will oversee the whole category solutions. That's how we can, win in this marketplace, right?
So your team is mixed between the two. Do you find that there's any issues like with a China-based team? They're like you said, they're very hardworking and very diligent, and they can deal with the factories and it's their language and everything over there. But when it comes to actually the marketing side, understanding the Western culture, is that kind of difficult? How do you advertise to them? How do you speak to them? Do you find that that's a little challenging sometimes? Because you've seen both. I mean, you were born in China, now you live in Florida. So you kind of understand both. But most of the people working for you have probably never been to the United States. So they only know what they saw on TV or something like that. So how do you overcome that? What kind of challenge is that, and how do you overcome that?
Yeah, I'm still figuring that now. I don't think like I solved that problem already. And I think from my experience in the past 12 months, it is very important that we find a very good leader. Like outside China, they feel they can trust and rely on. And you have to let them feel that the company is doing that is to help them grow as well. Because otherwise, then they will feel and they will getting fired, right? Which is very important. And then firstly, as the owner of the company, and you have to tell them why we're doing this. We're not abandoning you, we're helping you. And then if the company is doing good, and you're doing good as well. And also the manager that you find to coaching them, to manage them is very important as well, right? And we are very lucky that we have a very senior and seasoned head of designer that helping us to go through this transform. And now like our branding and look and the feel is much better than what we are like 2 or 3 years ago. And then the team is really appreciate that as well.
So didn't you do something with like a CEO coach or something? Didn't you guys go through something with because there's a big difference between selling $1 million a year on Amazon and $25 million a year. And you guys, like you said, were growing fast, doubling every year. What's the challenge there? It takes a different mindset, right? And a different kind of team. Once you go from 1 million, a lot of it you can do yourself, or maybe with your partner, or one or two employees. But then when you get to 20 million, it takes a lot more effort and a lot more people. Can you tell me about that process and what you guys did to learn and help you with that?
Yeah, absolutely. I would say firstly, you need to have the determination, right? And you need to you need to like thinking about you want to scale, because I know like a lot of companies or business owners, and they don't want to scale. They just want to like making $1 million or $2 or $3 million and do everything by themselves and has a very good margin, and this is all they want, right? So if that is a mindset, you don't have to scale. So, but if you decided you had to scale, and then firstly you had to thinking about like you might have some challenges. Is the things will not go smooth as you think, and are you willing to take those challenges? So that is the mindset we have to have at the very beginning. And for me and my husband, and we feel like we are still at the very early age of our career, and we definitely want to learn more and not just know how to start a business, but also how to scale and manage the business. So we invest on ourselves with a lot of like trainings and coaches. And it is very helpful because most of the coaches, they are from the enterprise company, and they know how big company looks like, and they can tell the problem that we have at a very early stage. I think the most value for us is to not just learn the process and the system, because all those things you can get in by reading books, or you hire some junior operators, and they can hand it over the system to you. I think the most valuable things for us is you have someone like a mentor. They coach you how to become a CEO, because they used to be a CEO before, and then you can adapt to their like a mindset and working styles very naturally by being a session with them, and then you naturally adapt this type of management styles or mindset into your team. So that's how I feel is very helpful to grow the team as well. But I feel like we're still like a long way to become a true like a CEO for a corporate. But at least we started, and our next goal is to pass like 50 million, and maybe like a nine figures in the next 5-7 years. I think it's very exciting. Yeah.
Do you have a goal to scale to sell the company, or you just want to keep growing it for right now?
We are not against to sell, but like we're not making this as our ultimate goal for the business, because our ultimate goal is to just always explore new things and helping people, and and I know like a lot of people when they start business and always thinking about how to exit, and this is also like investors looking for. But I feel like in the being entrepreneur or doing business is definitely more than that, because at the end of the day you have to feel like, hey, what really fulfill you is not just the money, right? And it's something else.
That's true. So what keeps you getting up every morning to do this? What is that fulfillment for you? Is it you like the challenge? Is it you like the money? Is you like dealing with the people? You like taking care of the customers? What is it that motivates you like every morning, like, okay, today's going to be a good day. I'm looking forward to doing something in my business. What is it that keeps you going, keeps you from being burned out?
I think for me is to see our team member growth, right? Especially at the very early stage, and then all the people that we hire, they are very fresh, and they either just graduate from college or like working for only 2 or 3 years. I'm not suggesting like everyone doing that and end up like from the business growth point of view, this may be a mistake, right? And you hire 2 junior people, and you have to replace them, after a couple of years. But I really feel like fulfilled that someone come to a company, and in our company, and they are most of them, they are from different province and states which is less developed, and then they go to a big city and want to explore opportunity, and then they happily finding us, and then I feel like it's very fulfilled to tell them how to being in a corporate, how to like make a living, right, and teach them and how work looks like. And then after 1 year, 2 years, and they can manage their products, and they can they know how to like be independent. Doesn't have to rely on their parents, So I think this is the most fulfilling for me. And nowadays, and I'm trying to bring more resources to the company that are helping those senior associate to become a junior manager, or even like more seasoned manager in the future. And then I can see their growth, right? Because every month I ask them to write a report, and it's not just about the work, and it's all about like what they learn, what they feel, those type of like deep feeling stuff. And I can see most of people become more and more mature. We have still a lot of people working in our company, and they start from like just a single person, and then like get engaged, get married, and now have kids. And I can see the life has been changed for them, and this is how I've been fulfilled.
That's cool. How big is the team now? How many people?
Yeah, we have it's between like 20 to 30, and right now is around like 20, because we have like a major reorganization happening currently, and right now we're about 20 and we'll grow into 25. And our goal is to, to reach like about 40 or 50 and by the end of the next year.
So do you find it, since you're Chinese living in America, is there an advantage do you think you have over some of the sellers here in America that are just, they're from here, all they speak is English, they don't understand the culture over there, they don't speak the language. Is there an advantage as a seller by being here and being of Chinese heritage?
I think like for me, I can see both sides, and I feel for me it's definitely it's an advantage, but I don't know whether I fully use that advantage or not, right? Because at the means that I feel like maybe I get this disadvantage for both as well. Because I feel the advantage for the Chinese seller is they are very close with the factory and manufacturing, and then they can really working with the factory to make the cost down. And I realize a lot of big sellers in China, they have their own engineer, like a product engineer in-house in their company as well. So they're just doing all the product development in-house and then outsource to the factory to manufacture it. So I think the cost is definitely lower than most of the American seller. And but they're not very good at marketing and branding, those type of thing. And it's very competitive because Chinese people is not very, innovative. You can think about that way. So once someone like figure out something, and there's a tons of sellers doing that same thing. So even though the cost is lower, but the margin is not that high. Versus the American seller, they are trying to do something different, right? They don't want to do the same thing as other seller, and then the consumer can not realize it. So me as a buyer, and when I shop in Amazon, and I think you feel the same, right? You can tell immediately, hey, this is American brand, and then the other one is a Chinese brand. And when you realize it's Chinese brand, then you just compare the price, and then when it's American brand, you're willing to pay more. So yeah, this is the direction that we are trying to do, is kind of getting the advantage of both sides. That's why we hire our whole marketing team in the United States and trying to, make sure we can selling a higher price for the similar product. And at the China side, we're hiring in-house. Right now we have in-house QC engineer, and then next hire will be like a product engineer as well, and to optimize our cost.
What's a big misconception a lot of people have about Chinese sellers? There's something that like you're watching a webinar, or you're at an event, and someone says, "Oh, blah 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 blah, Chinese sellers," and you're like, "Ah!" It just makes the hair on your neck go up. What is something like that you hear that's a big misconception that's just wrong that a lot of people maybe out there?
I think a lot of people feel like the Chinese sellers being successful because they cheat, right? And which is true in the past. But I think besides that, and then they are like a very strong on the online marketplace. And the reason why is the online market, they have like a Tmall and Taobao in China before those like big retailers and all like the brands and doing well, or D2C. So they adapt how to market their product on online marketplace first, and then they're thinking about how to do a brand. And this is exactly what Amazon's goal is, right? So like at the beginning, you just like getting as many sales as possible on the platform, then acquiring using Amazon's customer to help your sales, and then you're thinking about how to building a brand from there. So I think they are very strong about online market, sales, and I would say they are probably like 5 years ahead of Amazon, because that's kind of the same time frame about Tmall and Taobao. They start to recruit third-party sellers, and versus Amazon, they start from 1P, and then they open up to 3P. So I think they are like they're just being good because they are doing this for longer than most American sellers.
So what did you do before selling on Amazon? What's your background? You went to university, you get like some advanced degrees or something, or what were you doing? What were you working before?
My previous career plan is to become a researcher and a professor, and because this is what my family background is. Because most of my families, they are college professors, and I even grew up in a college campus, and I feel like this is just my career. And I really enjoyed it, and I did my PhD. I was in a PhD program in China already, and get my paper published the first year in my graduate school, and I really like, thinking and doing research and discussing some problems that no one care with with the professors and my peers. But I really enjoyed that. And then I want to come to the other country, United States, to further explore my career. That's why I apply a PhD program in computer science here as well. And then, I feel there's more opportunities, other than research, and we can actually apply what we learned, and then using the same, tactics or a thinking process to making money. So that's
research,
why
the research and everything, the analytical side of it, it all applies here. So what year did you start selling on Amazon? When was your first sale?
We started to do retail arbitrage and wholesales in 2015 and 2016, and then private label maybe 17 or 18.
Cool. And it's just US, right? Are you doing it in Canada or Europe or anything, or Latin America?
Yeah, right now we are just doing US.
So not even Canada. That was just an easy one.
Canada, we did, but we're not sending the shipment directly to there.
So you're just doing the cross-border where they can order it in the US and it's shipped to Canada at a higher price. I forgot what the Amazon calls that program. So you've seen Amazon change. So 2015, 2016, you started doing the arbitrage, then the private label a year or so after that. You've been here for the ride. There's a lot of people listening to this that have only been doing this for a couple of years, but you've seen it go from the wild, wild west of all kinds of crazy ways to get reviews and launch products to now how it's super competitive and a lot of things on price. Where do you see this going? Do you think a lot of people say, selling on Amazon, you can't make any money. You shouldn't do that. That's over with. Well, what do you think the opportunities are right now for maybe someone listening to this that's just kind of trucking along and they haven't really hit that $1 million yet, or they're just thinking about starting? Would you recommend someone actually start a private label brand now and try to sell on Amazon, or would you recommend, and if so, should they have a lot of money, or what would your advice be to somebody, to like your neighbor, if they were saying, tell me about this Amazon thing? What's the opportunity?
Yeah, I feel like the opportunity is always there, right? Because from our experience, and then we have so many SKUs, and then we always keep an eye on about our competitor. And every year they have new sellers. They are ranking number 1, number 2 in the category, and then the previous number 1, number 2, and then just falling off, right? So which means there's always opportunity for the new sellers. I think the key here is you have to really keep involving. You cannot just think about, this is a passive income business, as most of the gurus advertised a few years ago. It's not a passive business. It's a very active business. And I think if you really have a great product idea and you can execute it, and that is the biggest advantage that right now in Amazon. But comparing with the past few years, and you want to make easy money, and I don't think that is a mindset will be successful. So back to your question, it's still a good opportunity, but you have to be being more realistic. It's not the business that you'll become rich in one day, and it's a passive income of your life. It's not that type of business.
What's your favorite part of the business? What do you enjoy doing? Do you enjoy the keyword research? Do you enjoy the management? Do you enjoy if you had to pick one thing, if someone waved their wand and said, Jennifer, you can't interview the people anymore. You can't talk to the people in China. You can't do this. You can only do one thing in the business. What would it be? When you're working on that for your business, the time just goes by. You look at the clock and oh my God, I've been doing this for 5 hours. It seems like 20 minutes. What is something like that?
I think I really like the process and building up the process, and also I like the change. Should always change the mindset and the process, and based on what Amazon wants. And I think that's very interesting. And also I see how the big companies, how they run their business, right? How they set up their strategy. Because every year we went to their big conference, and I really learned a lot, and how those big companies set up their goal, and you realize they announce something in a conference, and the next year, next 2 years, they implement that. Some of the projects I could implement very well, and some of the projects just they have to relaunch. Because I just want to be in this industry and see the change, and then really enjoying the community, like you and other community leaders, and building up a very long-term and in-depth relationship.
And also make sure that you sign up for my newsletter, BillionDollarSellers.com. It's free every Monday and Thursday. A lot of people say that's what's really giving them the advantage and the secrets in this business. And be sure to check out Helium 10 Elite too. If you're not a Helium 10 Elite member, every single month I lead a talk on there, an open mastermind talk where you can talk with me for a couple hours, as well as a training. So that's at Helium 10 Elite. You can find that inside Helium 10, or go to h10.me/elite. So you've been to a lot of conferences, and I saw a post that you and your husband put online a couple weeks ago about a meal that you had in Chicago, and like this amazing restaurant. So of all the conferences you've been, all the places you've been around the world, you went to Europe for the first time this year,
Yeah.
all over China, all over the US, and different places. Where's the best meal you've had when you've been at a conference? Is it the one in Chicago, or where is it? What's like still on the top of your mind? I want to go back to that place.
Yeah, I think it's the meal that you bring us to the
Oh, really?
yeah, exactly, the Chinese like a
The Lin
boutique
Kitchen.
restaurant. Yeah, Lin
Oh,
Kitchen.
at the
Yeah.
Market Masters think tank in Austin.
Yeah, exactly. Because I feel like I have like an Asian bond with the owner. Because I feel like most of the Chinese restaurant in my head is just they have like a menu, and everyone's doing the same thing, and then they just like doing it for their living. But I think the owners really inspired me.
So can you describe that experience for people listening that don't know? Can you tell them kind of what it was? Like, it was this special place, only 20 people in the restaurant, you sit in the kitchen, and the way the food came out. Can you explain it a little bit?
Yeah, I think that is firstly, it's like a very boutique restaurant, right? And then you only go there by appointment, and there's only like 20 seats. And then there's like 7 or 8 courses. And every course is kind of like an art, right? It's not just the food, but also the presentation. I think this is the things I impressed the most. And I think all the dishes is the owner designed by herself, and it's mixed with the Chinese culture and the flavor, and with the Western. Yeah, and I really like it. I like the creativity, and I like the way that she presented it. And also, it really like remind me the gift that she sent, at the end of the dinner. And
The chopsticks.
it isn't about the chopstick, and then there's like a poem in Chinese, and which is very touching. I cannot remember the whole thing, but it's about like it's not just the food, but it's also enjoying life. So I feel it's like very touching.
That's awesome. So you see there, it's more reasons those of you listening need to come to a BDSS or a Market Masters thing. I had no idea she's going to say that. That wasn't a setup or anything. I had no idea she was going to say that. But that's what we try to do is, we all work hard out here, but we need to have good experiences and have fun times too. So we work hard and we play hard, and that's what we like to do. Well, Jennifer, I know you got to run to another meeting, but I really appreciate you coming on and sharing today. This has been fun.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for having me.
If people want to know more about you or to find you, or do you want to just remain a secret, or do you want to share a way, Instagram or email or Facebook or something where people want to reach out to you, or do you just want to stay the secret magician behind the scenes?
That's a good question. I feel like I need to have some public, profiles. People can like reach out to me, right? Because I'm building my LinkedIn profile now. So I think right now I'm still building it, and by the time you listen to this podcast, and the page is already up, so you can find me through LinkedIn and just search for Jennifer Yang, sales assistants, and or Amazon, and I will be there.
Awesome. Well, thanks again, Jennifer. Appreciate you coming on. We'll see you soon at probably another event.
Okay, thank you.
Awesome stuff with Jennifer there. We'll be back again next week with another awesome episode. But before I leave today, I just got to get a little emotional here. Give some parting words. I recently lost my dog to a liver disease.
She's been fighting for about a year. So my words of wisdom this week are a dog will teach you unconditional love. And with unconditional love, there can be nothing else wrong. Dogs are our ticket to paradise. God bless you, Zoe. May you rest in peace across the Rainbow Bridge. See you again next week.